How are you today? I hope all is going well. So you back with Watch Me Work with Auntie Tina. We're going to recap part 2 of trauma in the life of a 12-year-old. And as we go back, I just want you to go back to part 1 and just start over there and come back to part 2 and let's go. Okay, so we left off with the 12-year-old getting home and what happened once she got home. But we're going to go back before she got home, and we're going to talk about the ride home in the car when her mom and her aunt picked her up from the juvenile facility, and how excited she was to be, going home and, just being able to see her mom and wanting to, discuss how she felt and how scared she was. And getting the cold shoulder from her mother and her auntie and not understanding why this was happening to her. And so many different emotions ran through her head and, wanting to know what was wrong and why couldn't she explain or talk about the events that occurred in the 2-3 day stay in a juvenile facility. So she gets home and, as she goes upstairs, her mom immediately says, hey, go get ready, you're about to get a whooping. And that was her, quiet, not understanding what she did and never second guessing her mom or talking back. So she did what she was told. She went into the room and, took off her clothes, and her mom came in with an extension cord, right? And proceeded to, whoop her, told her to lay down and, and started whooping her, and her aunt stood right there and she's crying and she starts to cry, and her mom starts to talking like, you shouldn't have said nothing. You should have kept your mouth closed. Everybody's mad at you. Everybody's mad at me. We can't go over certain people's houses any longer because they don't trust you. They don't trust what you're going to do. And as she's talking, the licks are getting harder and harder and harder. And you become numb to the licks. Because at this moment, everything in the 12-year-old, the life that she knew, was going away. The life that she thought that she would have with her mom. The abuse that she felt that she had at her grandmother's house. To come into the life with her mother, and the abuse continued. And so as her mom began to slow down the whoopings, the licks, the auntie became enraged and was just, using words that, I'm not going to discuss or talk about at this moment because it's inappropriate. But everything that you think or thought that could have happened, or what was said could have been said, was said. And once the whooping, beating was over, the 12-year-old got up, got dressed, and went into the corner and sat, trying to figure out what she did so wrong that she deserved what she received. And why did she deserve that? She never got the answer for it. Nobody explained what she did wrong. The only thing that she was told was you should have kept your mouth closed. You stayed home for the next week at the house. Your mom decides to take you back in the same area because that's where the family member stayed. You walk down the street. Everybody's talking about you. They're whispering. The adults, disrespectful. The men think, oh, now she's easy. Oh, we can take advantage of her because nobody's going to do anything because She was supposed to keep her mouth closed. And you sit, you walk, you don't know what to do with yourself. So you decide to go to a different game hall. So you go down the street where everybody was at, and they was like, hey, we can, you should go in here, and, they got more games. And you're like, okay, great. So I can, all the troubles that I felt, I can just stay here all day. So you thought. You go to the game hall, and it's ran by a young man. And he said, hey, do you want, are you playing the game? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to play this one over here. He's like, okay, cool. He said, do you want candy? I'm like, no. He said, well, we usually give, pickles and candy, if you're here long. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He said, come back here and get it. I'm like, no, I'm not going in the back. Can't do that. He's like, girl, we know your mama, da-da-da. I'm like, okay. And the people inside like, oh, they cool. I'm like, no, they're not. He said, oh, so you're going to act like that? You like, what? Act like what? We were told you was easy. You wouldn't say nothing. You left the game hall, went back home. You wanted to tell your mom, but you knew better. Nobody believed in you. You was ashamed of being who you were. You wanted to go back to your grandmother's house. You felt, I'll take the abuse that I received there over what I'm getting here. You felt unloved. You felt maybe, just maybe if my dad was here, he would protect you. She thought about it. But she thought, my dad is no longer here. My daddy is deceased. Depression came over her. Because at that moment, she felt nobody loved her. Not even her dad, who died. He didn't live long enough to, in her opinion, show her love or give her the love that she needed. He wasn't here to protect her. Who could protect her? Nobody. Nobody loved her. Nobody cared. So she went about life thinking that nobody cared and nobody loved her. We're going to fast forward because throughout her life from 12, 13, 14, and 15, we're going to start at 15 right now. At 15 years old, going through life, still trying to figure it out, still felt unloved, throwing herself into church and trying to find a way there, thinking, you know what, God loves me because I've heard it. My grandmother said, God, I love you when nobody else would. God will be there for you. He's here to protect you. And she was like, well, what was he at when I was 12? But where is he at right now? At 15 years old. 15, about to be 16. She thought, my life is going to be great. I'm doing great things. I'm in church. I'm loving my life right now. So she blocked out the things that occurred to her at 12 years old. The trauma that she never dealt with. The love that she never received. 15 turning 16. Here comes a young man, an older gentleman, decides to take advantage of her. She's lonely and vulnerable, don't know what to do. Who does she tell? He's supposed to be taking her to church. I'll give you a ride. You're like, okay. Why? Because he was a close friend of the family. Never thought anything different. Always treated the whole family awesome. Knew that the 15, 16-year-old loved church. Well, I'll take you. Okay, thank you. Didn't go to church. She didn't go to church that day. Where she ended up was down by the riverbanks, by the railroads. Unbeknownst to her, she didn't know, where she was. But she knew the area and couldn't tell anybody. And so he took her there. And you know what he said to her? Who's going to believe you? You got to do what I say. Because if you don't do what I say, you're not going to church. And your mom is not going to believe you. Nobody's going to believe you. So he tried to have his way with her. And she said, no. Don't tell me no is what he said. So the 15-year-old, what was she to do? Who was going to believe her? So instead of going to church, she went to a friend's house. She was like, please drop me off at a friend's house. She went into a friend's house. So, someone she trusted. She told her friend. Her friend was in disbelief, like, we gotta tell. I'm like, no one's gonna believe me. No one's gonna believe me. So the 15-year-old was like, no. And her friend was like, yeah, we gotta tell. We're going to tell. So she decides to tell her mom. Her mom was like, what? In disbelief, like, no, that couldn't have happened. You like, yeah, it did. Well, we need to go tell your mom. We're going to call your mom. 15 like, no, we're not. They're not going to believe me. Guilt. Everything that occurred that day, you started to go back to when you were 12 years old. She went back. Because how would somebody, and why would somebody believe a 15, 16-year-old? And because they wouldn't believe her at 12. So the 15-year-old promised the mother not to say anything. And she didn't. She allowed her to hold on to the pain that she felt. But she did allow her to go take a bath, shower up, and clean herself up. What do you think the parents should have done? What do you think the friend should have done? And what do you think the 15-year-old should have done? Because there's more to the story. But I want you to think about it. And you tell me in the comments below, What would you have done? How could you have helped the 15-year-old? Subscribe to this channel. It gets deep. Let's interact. Let's talk with Auntie Tina. Watch me work. Until next time, stay safe.